Good evening, everybody. My name is Tim Sika, and I'm here this evening on behalf of KGO 810, Radio Sausalito 1610 AM, Celluloid Dreams, the movie show, 90.5 FM KSJS, and the San Francisco Film Critics Circle. Thank you for coming. I understand none of you knew there was going to be a surprise guest. Is that correct? Wow. Okay, cool. Well, you are in for it because we have with us this evening the youngest of the sisters that makes up the all-female rock band Haim. Maybe you saw them on Saturday Night Live. And before I bring her out here, I want to read something that the Hollywood Reporter said, one of the most exciting screen debuts in recent memory, and called her an incandescent presence that marks the arrival of a fully formed screen star. And that lady is the star of this movie, Alana Haim. Here she is.
Theater. This is amazing. I'm so happy. I'm very honored. So thank you for having me.
If you'll just beg my indulgence again, because I know you've been answering this question 1,000 times since you've been on the tour for this movie, but it's an interesting story how you got to be cast in this movie.
Oh my gosh, it is a crazy story. I mean, I'm assuming there's a lot of Paul Thomas Anderson fans in this crowd. I am one of them. I think it's no secret that Paul is very secretive with his projects. And I played a festival called Coachella with my siblings in a band called Haim. And thank you. And after I played Coachella, what Paul says is that he turned to me. I mean, I don't remember this because I think I just blacked out. I had so much adrenaline. But he said, I think I'm going to put you in a movie one day. And I was like, okay, you're going to put me in a movie? Okay, Paul, yeah, all right, whatever. I mean, I'm shocked, like, okay. And then, I didn't really hear anything. And then, but like, the next coming years, that was years ago. And after that, I started hearing Paul talk about pinball machines and waterbeds and a national gas crisis, and I loved stories about the Valley because that is where I grew up. I'm born and raised in the Valley. Grade 1A, that's what I like to see. I grew up in the Valley, and I loved all stories about the Valley. And one day I was in London and I got this Word document sent to my email, which was an untitled Paul Thomas Anderson script with no description. There was nothing in the subject. There was nothing in the message of the email. And I didn't have Word on my phone, obviously, because I don't know anyone that has Microsoft Word on their phone. So I downloaded Word, which took a very long time. And then I, read the script and I loved it so much, and I immediately called him and he said, would you ever consider playing Alana? And I said, yes, of course. And then I went to bed and I was like, oh God, what did I just do? Can I do this? I'm a musician. But Paul had my back from the beginning, so I mean, it's pretty great to have Paul. Oh. It's pretty great to have Paul Thomas Anderson as your cheerleader.
Oh no! Okay. Well, they told us this might happen, so
I'm a musician. Yes, I can project.
So when you got this,
it's back,
and you agreed to do it.
Pop star Mike. Okay, sorry. Say it.
Did you? What did you? I mean, I asked you this earlier today. I said, what was your reaction about? I mean, did you say, well, I've never acted before. I probably should maybe take some acting lessons. I should do something to prepare. What was your initial reaction to the realization that you were going to be carrying this movie?
Panic, full panic. Yeah, I never fully believed. I mean, I don't ever assume anything in this life, but I never fully believed that it was actually going to happen. I was like, oh, like Paul. I had this vivid, image in my mind that kind of let me sleep at night. That, months from now, when Paul obviously realized that I was a musician and I couldn't do this, movie because I don't know how to act. I mean, at least I thought that I didn't know how to act. I was like, he's going to turn to me and go, Alana, how funny was it, that 1 month where I said, do you want to play Alana? And then I realized, you don't really know how to act. And we would hug. And there was a campfire for some reason in this image in my mind. We were by a campfire and we laugh about it and we hug and, it would be like a funny memory of ours. And so whenever I'd go to sleep, I'd be like, what? It's probably not going to happen. Like, he's going to realize that I can't do this. And that day never came. He had zero doubts about me from the beginning, which was very nice, and we really did it together with Coop. It was me, Coop, and Paul.
Yeah, wow.
The dream team.
The dream team.
Dream team.
But you had to the musicality that you demonstrated in your singing and in the rock group had to inform the performance somehow.
I think the only thing that really helped was playing to a bunch of people in a crowd and, being able to tune everything out. And also, I don't know if any of you have ever seen Haim before, but I play like 30 million different instruments, which is all the things that my sisters don't want to play, I play. So I can do a lot of things. I'm really good at multitasking and also not having a deer in the headlights look on stage. I love performing and I always loved making people laugh. And I think that's what really Paul saw in me, that I can be in front of a large group of people and not pee in my pants. So that's all it takes. You know what I mean?
Did you find the technical demands daunting in any way? The things that, you hit your marks and all that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was times where, Paul would be like, you gotta just stand right there, and I'd be like, okay, and I would somehow just end up completely in the wrong place, but everyone was so patient with me, and we were just having the best time. And I think the thing that I loved working with Paul is he really did let me run free. A lot of my random improvs are in this movie. I mean, when I said, "What does your penis look like?" that was not in the script. That was from this noggin right here. That was me. My dad loves that scene. Let me tell you.
You mentioned your dad and your sisters. They're actually in the film.
Yeah, that's my dad. That's my real dad.
And your sisters too.
And my sister. My sisters, whatever. My dad. My dad's amazing.
Did you? I'm flummoxed here. You shared the screen with Sean Penn?
Yes.
Was that intimidating at all? He seems to be a really kind of intimidating guy. Yeah.
Everyone. Being in a sandwich between Sean Penn and Tom Waits was probably the best sandwich I've ever been a part of. Probably will ever be a part of.
And Bradley Cooper, too.
Yes, and I don't know if any of you know this, but the first thing we ever shot on this movie was John Peters. That was day one. Day one was, Cooper being tormented by John Peters, and then day two was me free driving a truck with John Peters and Gary. It was a lot. But again, we were just having such a. I think you can tell how much fun we had when you watch it. And everyone that was involved was so incredibly welcoming, and all those actors that you mentioned. Harriet, the agent.
Oh, that's a secret.
She is a powerhouse of an actress, and she really kicked me and Cooper's butt. We were just so in awe filming with her. And
I understand the character that she plays was based on a real person.
Yeah.
A real agent.
A real agent from the Valley.
And, she was the mother of Don Grady, who played Robbie in My Three Sons. Is that?
That I don't know 100%, but I do know that she was, Gary's real agent. But that scene is so. Watching her perform, and every take she did something different. Every take was just as funny as it was. It was just so. Quick draw McGraw just gets me every time. But she's incredible.
I wondered what that conversation was that she was having on the phone. What were they saying to her?
Love to Tatum. It's just too good. It's too good. She's too good. She's just so incredible.
And how old is your character, actually? She keeps changing?
You know, you never really know.
You don't?
You never really
You
know.
don't.
Because even when she says it, she doesn't really believe it either. So you never really know how old Alana Haim is. She's somewhere in her early 20s, but I don't know.
Now, you mentioned Bradley Cooper. That was you doing the U-Haul shifting and
That was
everything?
me.
Wow.
That was me.
Wow.
I drove that truck.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. Thank you. It was wild. I was terrified.
It was wild. Yeah.
It was wild.
You were saying too when we were outside and we were chatting that the scene at the end when you two run towards each other and fall, that was not in the script. That was an accident.
No, that was a full accident. Yeah. That was because we had shoes that were slippery. No, there was a whole scene where me and Gary meet and we're supposed to talk to each other in that scene, but one take. I think we were going a little too fast, and I fully jumped forward this way, and Cooper banana peeled this way. So we did a full somersault, and completely was not supposed to happen. And then when I watched the first cut of the movie, I laughed so hard that Paul kept it in there. But yeah, it was great.
I'm curious if when you saw the movie for the first time, because other actors have said this to me. Did you experience any kind of disconnect between what you remember you filmed and then what eventually wound up on the screen?
I think the first time I saw it, I was with my parents, and it was their first time too. And when the lights came up, the funniest memory that I have is my dad looked at Paul and was like, "Alana, what? Acting? Me? Acting? What?" We were all just so shocked. That's my impression of my father. It's not great, but we were all just so shocked. I mean, it really did feel like shooting it, that it was like a weird family vacation. I mean, my whole family's in it. Cooper's family is in it. All of Paul's family is in it, including Maya Rudolph, who is incredible. So funny, so funny. And it really did feel like it was oh, we have this cool family vacation video that no one's gonna see. It's just gonna be ours. And now I get to talk about it. I get to see it on the screen. I have this funny Shabbat scene that I get to see with my dad acting for the first time for the rest of my life. I mean, I'll cherish it forever.
Yeah, the other thing I've just discovered in the interim here since I last saw you is that the wax politician character, that's an actual politician.
Yeah, Joel Wax.
Joel Wax. I didn't even know.
100%.
Yeah.
No, that was real, and he's done incredible things. I mean, post that time in his life, and shooting that scene was super emotional, and that was a really crazy scene to shoot. I didn't realize how emotional we would all get after shooting that scene, but it's such an important scene to shoot. Joseph Cross and Benny Safdie are. I mean, again, another crazy sandwich. I was like the meat in a lot of crazy sandwiches during this movie. It was a lot of turning left and right and being how did I get here? What did I do to get here? It's so thankful, not asking questions, happy to be here. It's wild.
Questions? I don't want to monopolize.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
We have a mic we're going to bring around. I don't. Can you hear us at all? I don't. Not very loud. Okay.
Hello, Lana.
Hi.
I'm Lena. Can you sing me something?
Oh, sing you something? Oh my goodness.
Anything.
What should I sing? God, you're putting me on the spot here. Is that love? No, I can't do Bowie. I mean, this is so funny because the only song that's coming to mind is a Christmas song, which is so weird because I'm so Jewish. I am so incredibly Jewish, rocking around the Christmas tree, have a happy holiday. I don't know. I'm terrible. I don't know. But that is also very weird that my brain went there. I have no idea, but sorry. I should have. You guys want to hear Danielle sing? You don't want to hear me sing.
I don't celebrate Christmas, but thank you.
Oh, me either. So great.
I'll project. On the same note, as a musician, what did you think of the soundtrack? Were you approached? Was there any part of you when you heard it the first time you're I would have put something different?
Oh my God, no. Funny enough, so my siblings and I have this tradition in our family that Essie started, that when Danielle turned 16, my sister Esty went to this record store, not Licorice Pizza, unfortunately, not around at that point, but my sister went to this record store called Second Spin that was on Ventura Boulevard. I love you. You are an 818 god over there. I see you. I feel you. I have one person that knows all of my references. But she went to Second Spin, and Essie started this beautiful tradition with my family where, you know, when Danielle turned 16, she bought 10 CDs that were going to be Danielle's Bible for, you know, the next chapter of her life. Because when you turn 16, it's a big chapter. And one of the CDs was the Boogie Nights soundtrack. And I didn't know what Boogie Nights was when I was 13. I mean, I'm 3 years younger than Danielle. I thought it was like a hits now, like that's what I call music compilation. I was like, wow, this is great. I was like, Esty has taste. She killed it, not knowing that it was a movie. And so that's how I really was truly introduced to Paul. I thought he was just a really great, you know, mixed CD maker. But I've always, you know, trusted Paul. I mean, even with my music, Paul was the first person that we ever let into the studio before anything was done. And that's how Valentine got created, the first thing that we ever did with Paul. And it's because he has the most incredible music taste that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, all the rumors are true. He's an encyclopedia for music, and I think you can tell when you watch his movies, especially this one. I mean, I've learned the term needle drop recently. Again, don't know what the movies are like. Lights, camera, action. But there's so many incredible songs in this movie. And I mean, Let Me Roll It is one of my favorite songs. And for it to be in this movie, I feel like me and my siblings have always tried to kind of do a Let Me Roll It-esque song. We haven't succeeded, but I mean, having it in this movie and such a pivotal point of the story was an honor. And also, of course, Life on Mars being not only in the movie, but also in the trailer is like, geez, come on, Paul, it's incredible. Come on. But yes, and no, we were not approached, and no, I would, you know, no, it's perfect the way that it is. Paul's got it. I hope that answers your question. It's very long. My sisters also get on my case because I say so many details to every story, and they're like, don't bore us, get to the chorus, just answer the question. So sorry, a very long-winded answer, but I hope that answers your question.
It's funny you said you didn't, you know, you're Jewish, you didn't celebrate Christmas.
I know, I'm rocking around the Christmas tree is the only song stuck in my head. It's like either that or Celine Dion, and I cannot go anywhere Celine Dion.
Yeah, but you know, Barbra Streisand did a great Christmas album.
I mean, Barbra.
And didn't you and your sisters want to be her in Funny Girl when you were little or something?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, Barbra Streisand to us was like, she was our icon growing up because she made it seem like, you know, you could be funny and that's okay. I mean, she was gorgeous, but also so funny and so unapologetically funny, and it made her even more gorgeous. And for, you know, a young Jewish girl like me, that was very important in my upbringing. And I love Barbra Streisand. Of course, I love her. Who doesn't? You're not my friend if you don't like Barbra Streisand.
John Peters is in this movie. Has he seen the movie?
That I have no idea. I have no clue if he has. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's get Paul on the horn. Ask Paul. Paul would know.
Questions, more questions. Yes, yes.
Hi, I also have two sisters. So I was wondering, like, what was their reaction to you being approached to be in the movie and, like, seeing the movie after it was made?
Oh my
Her
God.
sister's reaction to Alana being cast in the movie. That's the question.
We were all stunned. We were shocked. I mean, I remember when Paul sent me the script, I thought he sent it to all three of us. And I remember, like, having breakfast the next morning with my siblings, and you'd be like, God, doozy of a script, am I right? Like, incredible. I mean, did you read the truck scene? And they're like, what? And I was like, the truck scene with John Peters. And then, you know, you go into Joel Wax, the Pinball Palace, the waterbeds, and they were like, we have no idea what you're talking about. So Paul had only sent me the script, but finally, you know, like when the Shabbat scene that is in the movie is a true story with my family that actually happened. Unfortunately, my middle sister Danielle, it was Passover, it was not Shabbat.
Okay.
and my middle sister Danielle had a boyfriend at the time that she brought to Shabbat, and I don't know if there's any Jews in the crowd, but we got some. But in Passover, you read this book called the Haggadah, which is the story of Passover, and you kind of go around the table and you read the story, and it's like this, epic Seder that takes forever, and then you eat an amazing meal, and then you eat matzah for a week, and that's it. But when it got to Danielle's boyfriend, he refused to read because he was an atheist, and the silence that just spread over that table felt like, it was probably like a couple seconds, but it felt like 13 days. It was crazy, and I remember telling Paul that story, and then it ended up being in the script. And once I read that, I was like, come on, Esty and Danielle and my parents have to be in this movie if he put that in the script. And luckily, I was right, and he involved my whole family. And also, Paul has been to so many dinners at my house that, he knows how funny my dad is, and now the world does too. So, very happy about that.
Sir, yes.
So, it's your first film. You're getting into acting, and in one scene your face is that far from Sean Penn, but then in other scenes you're with your whole family. Was that like weird? Like you're used to interacting with your family versus Sean Penn?
I'm a Sagittarius. I don't know if there's any Sagittarians out there. We all won.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I keep asking everybody questions like, where are my Jews? Where are my Sagittarians? Where are my Valley kids? Here we go.
Alana's birthday is what, in 4 days?
My
right?
birthday is in 4 days.
Right.
Thank you. But to my point of being a Sagittarian, I love an adventure. I love a new adventure. And this felt like an epic adventure. It felt like a new chapter in my life. And the thing is it's funny because my brain, it feels like, is kind of pushing and pulling this, 7th grade. I feel like I'm stuck in 7th grade in my confidence, but yet I still never want to say no to a dare or a new adventure. So I'm really grappling with what everyone goes through, and you have that monster in your brain. It's like you can't do it, and then but half of my body's like, but you can, and it's Sean Penn, man, come on. But Sean Penn was seriously so welcoming to me, and let me get that close. I think there was a point where I was getting very close, and I think I said, I'm so sorry, I'm getting close. And he was like, no, it's fine. And it really was just, we were just, trying new things. And the fact that he also was okay with me, doing my own thing. And we laughed, and we were in a restaurant. We hadn't been in a restaurant just as people in a long time. And to be in this restaurant with these dark booths and this candlelight, this piano player, it weirdly felt like normal life again, except with Sean Penn and Tom Waits, which is not normal. But they were incredibly welcoming to me, and I really appreciated that from them.
Did you get any rehearsal time, or?
Not really. There was not really rehearsals.
Because you shot during the pandemic, right?
We did shoot for the pandemic, but I think Paul really likes initial reactions, and I think the thing that I loved the most about him is, he really was amazing with being whatever your first instinct is probably the right one. Yeah. Especially with blocking and stuff like that. There was not really anything. It was just he would watch what we would do naturally and then kind of figure out what to do from what we were doing naturally, which is, sorry to say natural a million times, but that's why it looks so natural, because that's what we were doing. But there was not a lot of blocking. I could have stayed at Tail of the Cock for, years.
Yeah. We have time for one more question because the clock is ticking. I'm going to just go with the guy that's closest here. Sir.
Oh, you have a mic.
What?
Hi.
Oh, okay.
Well, do you support gay rights?
Of course. Are you kidding? Of course, 100%.
Thank you.
Of course.
Can we do one more question? Yeah, one more. This guy. Jump, sir.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi.
The performance was amazing. It's so
Thank you.
Cooper's.
Yes.
And I was wondering, 2 questions. Is this Cooper's first film, and what was it like working with him?
Is it Cooper's first film, and what was it like working with Cooper?
I know, it's so crazy that we've been talking, and Cooper is was such an important part of this film. I remember, not to tell a super long story, I hope you're okay. It's not super long, but are you okay with me telling the story about how me and Cooper met? It's a great story. Just saying. But me and Cooper met while Paul was editing Phantom Thread. and me and my siblings had just shot a music video for Little of Your Love, and it went really badly. It was a music video that we could not use, which had never happened before, and we, Paul very specifically said, like, I can't do anything, I'm in Phantom Thread, please let me edit, and we were just like, we gotta call Paul, we gotta call Paul and just see, maybe Paul will do a music video, because we hadn't done anything after Valentine with him, because of Phantom Thread, obviously, and it's a masterpiece, and do your thing, Paul. But, we called Paul, and he was like, all right, come to the editing house, we'll see what we can do. And I walked into this editing house, and it was Paul and his editor, Andy, and a chair that looked rather large, and this 13-year-old boy named Cooper Hoffman. And, I was in my early 20s, I think I was like 22 or 23, and he didn't really speak that much at the beginning, and I was like, oh, okay, Paul has a kid with him? All right. And Paul got called away. I think he had to go to photochem or something. He got called away to do something editing-wise for Phantom Thread because it was important. And Cooper was hungry. And Paul said, can you just take Cooper somewhere? And Cooper's from New York, an amazing person from New York. And immediately, I'm insanely intimidated by anyone that's from New York. I don't know. I think it may be a Valley thing. I just feel like we grow up so completely different in the Valley than kids do in New York. And even being in my 20s, I was like very intimidated by this kid. I'm like, you know how to take the subway. I don't know how to do that. I had to beg my mom to take me to the Galleria. And, Cooper got in our car, we took him, I was like, what do kids like, sushi? I don't know. Like, okay, we'll take him to get sushi. And we sat down, and he had this crazy retainer, like a 13-year-old retainer, and he took out the retainer, and did the whole, sucked the life out of this retainer, set it down on a napkin on the table so we could all see it. And I didn't know it then, but I know it now that I honestly think that I was having dinner with Gary Valentine. The second that retainer came out, it was like, so, what are we ordering? Are we ordering sashimi? Are we ordering rolls? Do you guys want a Coke? Let's get 2 Cokes. 2 Cokes, garçon? Literally, it was like he just asking us questions. So, how was high school for you? The craziest thing. And honestly, me and my sisters were honestly, dumbfounded. Alana is in this movie. We were like, what? Who is this kid? And, years later, and that was years before Licorice Pizza was even, not even a word was written, but years later, Paul had asked me to do this movie. Yeah. Again, I told you it was a long story, but it's getting good. Paul, asked me to do this movie, and we had auditioned a bunch of young actors that were going to play Gary, and every time I read with someone, I was just waiting for that overwhelming feeling because I knew what the story was. These kids didn't because they only got excerpts of the scripts. But I really never got that feeling of okay, we can take on the world together. I needed that feeling of I need to be able to joke around with you and you can handle my shit basically. I need to be able to push you around a little bit and you kind of give it back to me. And I never really got that with any of the actors. They were incredible actors. They were incredible. They had, one movie is more than a movie that I did. They had way more credits than I did, just even having one. But the second that Paul, turned to me and he said, what if Cooper read? And me and my sisters all lit up because we knew who Cooper was from years before. That's the impression that he left on us. We never forgot about Cooper. Wow. And we all lit up and went, yeah, Cooper, of course, Cooper. And I flew to New York with Paul. I read the script with Cooper for the first time, and though we were terrible, I'm not going to say we were good, we were terrible, we kind of did that thing where, there's, scripts on the table. We, tried to act how actors would act. We were, trying to memorize the lines as we were reading them and, look at each other. But we
do you remember what scene it was that you were doing?
Just from the beginning.
Oh, just from the beginning.
Comb mirror, from the very beginning. And, even though we were kind of stumbling through this script, I would look at him and he would look at me, and I got the overwhelming feeling that I always wanted. And having someone that also hasn't done this before with me, I mean, we were both two peas in a pod. I mean, we would constantly call each other and be like, we were terrible today, right? And I'd be like, yeah, we were terrible today. What are we doing? How are we doing this? But he was my rock throughout this whole situation. I was his rock because, again, we had never done it before. And really having me, him, and Paul as our rock, and having someone like Paul be like, no, you can do this. Just you can do this. It really did feel like we could take on the world. So he's an incredible actor. Sometimes I would look at Cooper and just be in awe. And I mean, there is no Alana Kane without a Gary Valentine, and there is no Gary Valentine without an Alana Kane. So, and there we go. That's the story.
The after of the movie is Licorice Pizza. If you liked it, please tell your friends. It opens December 25th.
December 25th,
right.
On Christmas.
So,
on Christmas. Rocking around. Christmas tree.
So please give Alana Haim another round of applause.